Okay, I'm gonna start going through some more of the actual psychology stuff. I think a big thing to understand when you do come into the world of sales is any robots can learn a framework, learn some objection handles, watch a few videos, and make sales. Essentially, it's possible, right? Sales is you. So the moment you start trying to be someone else in sales and trying to copy strategies, you lose the whole purpose, which is a human to a human connection. And if you are not being you, it's not sales because it's a human connection. It has to be the way you are and connecting to someone else, understanding their emotional state and understanding what they actually need. And that is what makes people buy. And that is also why people can tell if it's commission breath, if you just want to sale, or if it's hard selling, right? So that's what we're gonna get into a bit more in today. Like, what do people actually buy? What are the six human needs people need to buy in the emotional states? How do you create that tension and that internal pressure to actually motivate someone to buy? Heaven and Hell Island, which is the future pace of them making a decision and the consequence of them not making a decision. And what are your two jobs when you are on a sales call? Okay. So, what do people actually buy? Okay, people don't buy because of your offer. They don't buy because of you, because of your company, because of your brand, because your testimonials, none of that. They buy states on a surface level and emotional level. And what I mean by that is people buy outcomes. They buy feelings, right? The reason I put food into our mouth is because we want to achieve the outcome of not being hungry anymore. We want to have that feeling. Or maybe it is consuming a protein bar because you know it's going to put on muscle in your body or something like that. People are buying an outcome, okay, and a feeling. That's what you always have to remember when you're on calls, right? So, how can you reverse engineer that into the world of sales? And how can you have the end result in mind when you are on calls? Okay, people have a current situation, which is where they currently are. There's a set ideas of beliefs, emotions, thought processes, and patterns that have led them to where they currently are. That same thought process will not take them to their desired state because it's what's gotten them here. If it could, they wouldn't need you and they'd already be at their desired outcome. So that's the first thing you need to have. Okay. What's the difference between their current situation? Map it out. The desired situation, map it out. And then all that you are selling is the bridge to be able to get in between. That's all it is. That's all sales is. It's all closing is. Okay. And when the path of least resistance from the current to the desired becomes your offer, that's when people will buy. So take, for example, aspirin. You have a headache, you're feeling uncomfortable, you take aspirin, no headache, right? You're drinking coffee, you're tired or groggy, unproductive, you have some coffee, you're alert and you're happy. People are buying feelings and desired outcomes on both states, okay? So, Tony Robbins, very knowledgeable man, probably one of the best, I guess, mindset and kind of sales coaches out there in the world. And people are buying emotional level destinations, okay? And once we break these down, we can look at them from six different kind of perspectives. Certainty. Does this thing genuinely work and how can it help me? Variety. Is there a few different ways in which I can learn? I can consume this. I can apply this. Significance. How significant of an impact is this going to have on my life? If I purchase this €100 gym membership, what is the actual outcome? What is the ROI? What am I getting as a result of this? Okay. Growth. Will this make me a better person? Me coming into sales, would that allow me to be more disciplined? Would that allow me to learn skills I can use outside of sales? Would that allow me to understand human psychology, contribution? How can this contribute to the lives of others around me and contribute to myself? And then last but not least, love and connection. Does this build better health, wealth, relationships, XYZ? Okay. So this, or these, I should say, are the most powerful. Always. Especially when you get into more kind of B2B selling or maybe B2E, or maybe if you're dealing with people that aren't as financially qualified, maybe a bit younger. Certainty and significance. The reason that Alex Hormozy can post a YouTube video and most people are going to believe what he says is because he has so much certainty in the way that he talks, in his conviction, and it's a lot more significant than if a random person on the street said it. Why? Because it's Hormozy. He's built that brand, he's built that trust, he's built that reputation. So you need to ask yourself the questions of when I'm on calls, how can I replicate and how can I showcase this significance and this certainty to allow someone to buy? Okay. The way you can do that is with internal pressure. And you need to first understand this. Building tension in someone is a good thing if it's done the right way, okay? Because there's two types of pressures. There's two types of thought processes. There's auto suggestion, which is you, it's coming from your subconscious, and then there's hetero suggestion. Hetero suggestion is where it's an external source. Someone else is telling you to do something. Your friend motivates you. Man, imagine when we lock in this year on sales, the amount of money we can make. That's hetero suggestion. Auto suggestion is when you ask yourself the question of, what is missing for me to get to that next level? How can I get to 10K month? That's internal. Okay. You want to do the same thing when you're on sales calls, but you want to create internal pressure so they come to the realization themselves because it means a lot more. Okay. And you want to do it in a healthy manner. So there's internal pressure, there's external pressure. Internal is being pressured to do something for your own reasons because how can this help you, your family? How can this get you to 10K a month? How can this change your mindset, right? You are closing someone on the belief of changing their life. It's not that you even have to close them on it, but you are closing them on the belief of changing their life, getting to their dreams. But you have to do it in a way of building pressure because if they were already able to do it by themselves, they wouldn't need you. Okay. Then external pressure, being pressured to do something for someone else's reasons, right? So, for example, fast action discounts and incentive based pricing doesn't mean that they're a bad thing, but it's a way to build external pressure to try and get someone to close. Okay. So, how do we actually build internal pressure? The easiest way, as I said earlier, is being able to clearly, very clearly define the difference between where they currently are and where they want to be and how big is that gap. So, for example, if someone comes to me and they say, I want to make 10K a month. Okay, cool. What are we currently making? We're making like 3K a month. Okay. So, like, what does that gap look like in between? I'm going to ask them the question. Why? Because I want to build that internal pressure. Okay. Yeah, it's about 7K a month. And what does that look like over a 12-year span? Yeah, we're looking at about 84,000. 84,000. The more you can get very crystal clear on that picture and paint that gap, the more you showcase the difference. Okay. And when you're doing that, you're also showing Heaven Island and Hell Island. Heaven Island is the desired state, them getting to their future outcome. Hell Island is them not achieving anything they want and staying the exact same, okay? This is positive, this is negative, and you need to be very, very, very clear on what you do that, on how you do that. I've seen this a lot in calls I've reviewed, on my own calls, and in people that I've seen sell. The best way that they do it is they're able to just paint emotional states. There's so many ways to do it. You can do it through storytelling, you do it through numbers, you can do it through tangibles, whatever they have told you in the discovery or on your calls, which is why it's so important to actually listen. Listening is the most active thing you will do. Use that information to be able to paint that crystal clear picture so they can see the space in between. Okay. Once you have done that, naturally they're going to want to resolve this tension. If I'm speaking to a 40-year-old man and he's telling me he's making 2K a month, but he can't provide for his kids because he needs to be making 10K a month, and I showcase the difference. I showcase the gap between his current lifestyle of not making enough money and what he could be doing, making 10K a month, providing for his family. And I ask him the question of, are you willing to settle? Powerful question. Are you willing to settle? He says no. And I say, well, what do you feel like you need to do? That's internal pressure. Because I've now challenged him on the identity that he has told me he wants to be. And I am challenging him to make a decision right here, right now, to bridge that gap towards the future version of himself that he wants to be that operates from Heaven Island. Okay? That is all closing is. A lot of people view it as you're trying to get someone else's money. Yes, you are trying to make them pay money, and you do make a commission from it. But once you do it well and you forget the money, the objective is to get them out of Hell Island. Okay, that's all you are doing. That should be your sole focus. And once you can do that well, the money will come naturally. Forget about that. That's a byproduct. What you always need to focus on is how can I help this person get out of their own BS? And the better you can do that, the better you become as a closer, the better you become as a person, and the more commissions you make. It's a win win. Okay, so a few tips on how to actually clearly define this. Define each number with specifics, tangibles. Try and like throw on attachments to it. Okay. So current versus desired income. How much money do you want to make? How much are you making? If it's fitness, current versus desired weight. If it's job, current occupation versus what freedom would look like. If it's a relationship, your current relationship versus your perfect relationship. Okay. If you can't use numbers, for example, if you can't say 84 kg, but I want to get down to 75, use details. Right. What would it feel like if you were to actually drop that weight and you were able to get to 75 kgs. How would it make you, I guess, feel if you were able to actually see your kids happy as a result of the money that you're making and the change it makes in their lifestyle? Like, if you could actually wake up every day and see the big picture, touch that money, touch the things you could buy, what would that be worth to you? Now you're painting that picture. Now you're taking them on that emotional journey. Now you're allowing them to internalize the future pace and the heaven version of themselves. Because people have to form an emotional connection to something for it to be even worth it to them. For their subconscious to start asking themselves the questions of how can I bridge the gap internally to get to my goals? And the stronger you make this, the more you can make someone wake up and see their own reality of what they could be doing and why they're, and ask themselves the question of why and how are you settling for this? And you do that, naturally they should jump. People don't always jump. And that's the tough part of closing and sales, because you come to realize most people are their own biggest problem. So it will not always, people will not always naturally make that jump, but that's your job. And that's where you come in. And that's why it's so important, before you can challenge anybody else on their own BS, you have to challenge yourself first. And it's daily, it's every day. Okay. So get them to understand this, get them to go through what the actual day to day looks like. Take me back to the day, you see, where you actually decided that like you were done kind of living that like 9 to 5 lifestyle. Like what was that actually like? How did it feel? What was the worst part about it? Could you actually kind of like walk me through what happened? Like what, I guess, what kind of emotions came up for you? Okay. Do you know like what the conversation was like? And what did they actually say that made you kind of react that way and start thinking to yourself, what do I want my life to actually look like? Now I'm painting the emotional state. The current situation, the past versus the desired situation. Okay. Most times you want to do both. Now let me show you. This is what it looks like on a graphical level, right? This is Hell Island, it's negative. This is Heaven Island, it's positive. This is every other option. Every other option. Okay. When you're on a closing call, you're walking this bridge. You are walking this tightrope, right? This is competitors. This is I'm going to do it myself. This is I want to think about it. These are all the sharks. The sharks are the objections they're going to give you, right? You want to walk this tightrope with them, get through all of the objections, get through the fear, get through the limitations, get through the BS in their own mind, get through I can do this, 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 get through when this time is right. Then position your solution, show them how you can actually help them get to their desired outcome, and help them walk the tightrope to Heaven Island. And that's when your job is done as a closer. Okay. So your only two jobs on a sales call: paint Hell Island, paint Heaven Island, naturally build that internal pressure so that they are going to want to take action to resolve that tension. All right. But just because they want to resolve it does not mean they want to resolve it with you, right? And I've seen this happen to myself as well. And people still thank me to it for today. There's a lot of people I've had calls with, and they might not buy there and then, or they might not buy in general. They might go out and buy from someone else, or they might not necessarily buy, but it might change their mindset. And that's still a win in my books. It's still a win. Obviously, I'd much rather they buy from me, right? And I see them through the journey. But the main thing and the objective is I changed their mindset. And that is a massive win, because I believe in abundance and I operate from abundance. And somehow, some way, that will still reward me. And people still message me to today. Thank you so much, bro, for showing me what the online space was like. Thank you so much for having that call with me and challenging me to overcome my own fears. People, prospects on offers I've been on, thank you for actually calling me out and making me understand my own limitations. And that is your job. Okay. So one thing you need to understand, just because you close someone on the idea does not mean you have closed them on working with you. So that's another thing you have to understand, okay? So the key to building the bridge that becomes the path of least resistance and destroying, sorry, the key is to build the bridge that becomes the path of least resistance and destroy all other potential bridges, okay? So your only two jobs on a sales call: understand how and if you can help them, okay? So the current situation versus the desired situation, eliminate all of the objections before the close, right? And then help them cross that bridge. So paint Hell Island, paint Heaven Island, destroy all of the other options, kill the sharks, clearly show why your bridge is the strongest, the safest, and the fastest, and help them walk through it. Okay. So, very big thing that you need to understand there, right? I don't want you to just read the concept of this, but I need you to actually understand the psychology of it and the emotional states. People pay for end results, states, logically and emotionally. The better we can paint their current situation versus the desired situation, the more tension we build. The more tension we build, the more internal pressure. The more internal pressure, the more they have to start internalizing and understanding what it is that they're doing, why are they doing it, where do they want to get to, does this actually help me, how can I change it, XYZ. Okay. Yes, we want them to take action with us. We do this by understanding how can we help them, if we can help them, what is the bridge and position in it. Okay, pre-handle all of the objections before the price, because it's a lot easier to talk about money um, before you've dropped it than afterwards. People get into analytical thinking, and then that own fear stops themselves from taking actions towards improving their own dreams. Right. So we need to once again understand we are closing four people, not two people, because we want to get them to the heaven island and we want to get them to the best version of themselves. If they were already able to do it, they would not need us. They would not be on the calls with us. They would not be messaging us. They would not be texting us. The fact that they are not is the first signal that they need help in some manner, in some aspect or other. Okay. The fact that they are on a call with you, on a conversation with you, speaking with you, that is the biggest signal that they want your help, regardless of whatever objections they give you, regardless of whatever BS limitations that they give you, regardless of the, yeah, I'm okay, I'll figure it out by myself. The fact that they are speaking to you means they are not at their desired state. They are not in heaven island. Okay. People are very reluctant to change and we are wired to avoid change. Your nervous system will fight it. Even if you want to change, your own identity, your own subconscious will fight it, right? So that's where you have to be skilled as a closer. You have to understand what it is that you're doing, why you're doing it, and who does it actually benefit. And the better you can do that by understanding all of this stuff, studying the modules, consuming the content, and practicing it, the better you understand all of this naturally, the more lives you will change, but also the more money you make. Okay. So that's emotional states, understanding what makes people actually buy and how to build it and how to actually help them cross that bridge. Right.